We are still in lesson 27.1 talking about factoring. So I want you to go ahead and factor these questions on the board on any scrap piece of paper that you have. So remember, we are multiplying to get our constant term and adding to get this middle x term. So use a T-chart if that helps you. Multiply to get 9, add to get 10. So here are the answers. All of these numbers add to get 10. And they multiply to get that C term. 9 times 1 is 9. Add them, we get 10. 8 times 2 is 16. Add them, we get 10. Okay. So we are going to use algebra tiles again and the box method and guess and check. And now we're looking at when we have a negative constant term. So before we only had all positive constant terms, and now we are going to look at what happens when we have a negative. Okay, so if you're looking here, we have x squared, which is this big blue one, plus 2x, two green ones, minus 8. Okay, and we want to take these algebra tiles and we want to form, remember, a square or a rectangle. So if I put these two next to each other and move down 2 of these, that doesn't work because I have 6 left over. Okay, or if I take this and turn it down here, that still doesn't work because I have 7 red ones left over. So let me put this back, and I need to add in some more x's. So over here off to the side, notice I have some green ones and some red ones. I want to put my green ones together on one side and my red on the other. Now, if I'm adding in 1x, I don't want to change the question here, so I'm going to cancel it out by adding in a negative 1x. So this red and green essentially cancel each other out. Okay. And I still have 5 left over, so if I add in another positive 1x, let me bring in a red one again to cancel it out. And then if I slide in these single red squares, they all fit. So do you remember how we got our answer? X, and how many positive green ones do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. X, and we have 2 red ones, so that would be a negative 2. So my answer is x plus 4 and x minus 2. X plus 4, x minus 2. If I multiply 4 times negative 2, we get negative 8. 4 minus 2 is that middle x term, which is 2. All right, so let's do it again. We have x squared minus I have 2x's here, and I have a negative 15. Okay, so I'm going to put some of these down here. I'm going to add in a red one, but then I need to cancel that out with a green. So then I'm going to add in another red one, cancel it out with another green. So we're going to keep adding red and green so they cancel each other out until we use all of our little red squares. So now this looks like it's going to work. So my answer would be x, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 negative red ones. X, 1, 2, 3 positive green ones. And think, let's double check. Negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. And negative 5 plus 3 gives me that middle negative 2x term. Okay, try this one. X squared plus 4x minus 5. So if I add in a green, it has to go by the green because they're like terms. But then I need to add in a red down here to cancel it out. And it looks like this is going to work. So this is x and a positive 5. This is x and a negative 1. Order doesn't matter, remember. Negative 1 times 5 is negative 5. Negative 1 plus 5 gives me that middle 4. All right, try this one. X squared minus x minus 6. So let's add in red and green so they cancel each other out. Doesn't work yet, so add in another red, green. And we've got it. So this is a positive 2 and a negative 3. So negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Negative 3 plus 2 gives me that negative 1. We can also do these questions using the box method. So remember, we put the x squared in the upper left. Negative 14, goes in the bottom right. And when we draw our t-chart, we're looking for numbers that multiply to get this negative 14 and add to get 5. So I want you to go ahead and try to come up with those answers. Guess it, check, play around with the different factors. because my c term, the number at the end, the constant, is a negative, I know for all of these questions, one was negative and one was positive. So if I do a -1 in 14, I get a positive 13. If I switch these, I get a -13. That's not a positive 5, so that doesn't work. So if I do a -2 plus 7, that works. So a -2x and a positive 7x. Remember, it doesn't matter where you put them on your diagonals. So I'm going to look at these two, and what is the greatest common factor that they share? They share an x. X times what is x squared? X times what is -2x? X times what is 7x? And -2 times 7 is -14. So those would be our two answers. X plus 7, x minus 2. All right, top left is x squared, bottom right is a -24. We're dealing with a negative constant term. So spend some time figuring out what numbers multiply to get -24 and add to get -2. So I know it has to be a combination of 4 and 6. You need to think about which one has to be negative. Okay, my middle term is -2, so that means the bigger number has to be negative. 4 minus 6 is -2. The common mistake that I see is students will get 4 and 6, but they might accidentally switch it and write -4 and a positive 6, but that equals a positive 2, and that doesn't work because it says -2. Okay. So this is where checking your answer, going back through and foiling or distributing or using the box method is really going to help with these types of questions when we have a negative constant term, a negative c value. All right, let's look at these two and what's our greatest common factor here. They both share just an x, not a number. X times what is x squared? X times what is 4x? X times what is -6x? And let's check. -6 times 4 is -24. So those are our two answers. Now, remember, we don't have to use the box method. It's almost like it's more work, actually, because my two answers that I circled here were 4 and -6, and my answers were x plus 4 and x minus 6. Same thing here. Our two answers that we circled were -2 and 7, and my answers were x minus 2 and x plus 7. So we could just go straight from this P-chart of guessing and checking to our final answer. Okay, we don't have to spend time doing the box method for these types of questions when we only have an x squared. Later on, when we have like a 4x squared, we will have to use the box method or something called divide and slide. Okay, so go ahead and take some time to figure out this question. Multiplying to get negative 30, adding to get a positive 7. Think about all the factors of 30. You can use your factor sheet or a multiplication chart. Oh, it looks like it's going to be 3 and 10. Which one is going to be negative and which one's going to be positive? So if I do a negative 10, that gives me a negative 7, so that doesn't work. So let's do a negative 3, positive 10. That works. X minus 3, x plus 10. And I'm going to FOIL or distribute to see if I'm correct. Oops. Minus 3x minus 30. Combine these like terms. And we get a positive 7x minus 30. And that is exactly what we started with. So I know that my two factors right here in green are the correct answers. All right, try it again. Multiplying to get negative 28, add to equal negative 3. Four and 7. And it has to be a negative 7 to make this add up to a negative 3. X plus 4, x minus 7. Right? Because 4 times negative 7 is negative 28. 4 subtract 7 is negative 3. And let's do another one. Multiply to get negative 2, add to get 1. It would have to be a positive 2 and a negative 1. And it's okay if these don't come as easy as the last ones because it might take a few more seconds to figure out which factor is positive and which is negative. All right, let's add these to our note sheet. So factoring x squared plus or minus bx plus c when c is negative. Should have a plus or minus here. Factor using whatever method you prefer. So if you want to take time to do the box method, we probably can't use algebra tiles because we don't have 36 of them. Or if you want to just guess and check with your T-chart, go for it. Four times 9 comes to my head right away. 3 times 12. So this will be a negative 3 and a positive 12 is going to get me to that 9. So a minus 3 a plus 12. And again, you can always check your work by foiling back through. The next one on our notes, we're looking to multiply to get negative 40, add to get negative 3. So our two answers are a positive 5 and a negative 8, because that's going to give me the negative 3, which is the middle y term.